Cleanliness is next to godliness, as they say, and being organized is too, in my opinion. I believe clutter is the enemy. Messy home, messy mind. I'm excited for you to meet Brenda. She's a badass woman who works, owner of Organized Zone for over 24 years. She's an expert in decluttering and organizing homes. She's helped hundreds, if not maybe thousands of people move and downsize. She's helped hoarders and their families, and I can tell you firsthand how amazing her service is. Stay tuned to learn about Brenda, her story, what she does, and some tips on how you can get organized too. So I'd like to welcome you to Real Talk.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you girls.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a long time, but we do know each other. I know you. Well, I met you initially through my friend Elise.
Right.
Skating, who's a very good friend of yours.
Very good friend of mine, yes.
And a good friend of mine for many years. And so Brenda, as I mentioned in the intro, she helped me organize my home after my second divorce. And I remember thinking, when you came in and helped me do all this stuff, I remember thinking you didn't even really help me organize my home as much as you helped me organize my life at that point. Because when you're going through a divorce and you're vulnerable and you're downsizing, like there's all these things layered together. And like you helped me see through the clutter, and it was amazing. Like it's more, I wonder if other people tell you that.
It gets overwhelming for people.
Mm-hmm,
like their minds are full with life.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's this whole thing in the basement that they don't even know what it is. And it's just step by step. And then when you have someone supporting you to sort it all out, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's such a load off. That's how I felt afterwards. And I'm not even really a disorganized person, but that time in my life, it was like a crisis time. So
you had enough,
mm-hmm.
right? Anything extra was too much.
Yeah.
And so to have all your ducks in a row and to be organized, it really lets you just live life.
Totally.
Yeah. So I love it. I love organizing like personally because it's a journey. It's not a destination.
Yeah.
It's just really important to be organized so you can live your life, so you can cook on a whim, so you know what you're wearing, so it doesn't bog you down with everyday things.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what you're wearing, and then you know how easily you can go find it because you know where everything is in your closet.
Right.
You go searching for that top that you know you have and you can't find.
Yes.
Yeah. It's for everything in your life. It just so you can live. It's just the foundation. Just be organized so you can be your best.
Mm-hmm. And I know that Norma could really use you. And we always joke. Now, I don't know if you're a hoarder, but your husband is borderline hoarder.
I think Brenda knows that already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's hard when there's, my husband for sure is not as organized as I am.
Yeah.
But he learns and he knows there's a system, and I do maintain it. But that's how I like it. So it's, but I'm not going to go into his space and he's not going to go into mine.
Well, then that works.
Yeah.
But it is an ongoing thing.
Yes.
I don't think you can just, organize yourself once and you'll never have to do it again.
Right. It is a journey. It's just, the ebb and flow. Things are coming in, things are going out. Sometimes life, sometimes you're into something and then you're not anymore. And you still have that. You go out, you bring something in, doesn't necessarily go out.
Yes.
So there's always an accumulation
There's a new
of excess.
hobby that someone's trying and you get all the stuff and then you go off it but you still have those hanging around.
Right.
Where do you put it?
And
will you ever go back to it?
Right. And you spent money on it and you don't want to get rid of it. It
has value.
Right. And so every house I go to has, those things in it, all the excess stuff.
So what got you into it? Because it was 24 years ago. That's a long time ago.
Yeah. I was a single mom at the time. I had two little ones and I knew I was going to start a business and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I thought, whatever I was into at the time, dating, am I going to go into a dating business? Am I going to go into kids' toys? But my natural nature was to be organized. Mm-hmm. And I was working in an accounting firm. And then they asked me back to, organize, they knew my skill set, and they asked me to organize a storage room and their files. And then one thing led to the other. And I thought, oh, okay, let me get into organizing then. And I knew that there was a career at the time. And it was very new in the stages. And here I am now, 24 years later.
So you do both professional and like professional areas as well as homes. Like you might go into businesses also?
Yeah, we do corporate, but mainly households where we do paper management, and then we do downsizing, decluttering, organizing. It's not just about a pretty box.
Right.
Yeah.
And how has your business changed over the last 24 years?
Oh, massive. I guess like we were talking about the excess stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the beginning, it was either a dumpster or maybe we can call up a charity to pick up, or I drive it in my car somewhere. Now people, can use it and they want money for it. And so oftentimes now we have a max sold, an auction for the excess stuff, which is, just people have to have over 30 items or 30 lots. And it offsets the cost of organizing, and people really want the stuff, and they come far and wide, and they bid on it, and they take your stuff, and it's just an easy process.
You said 30 lots. What does that mean?
So 30 items. So so one lot would be the 3 chairs. Another lot would be the wine glasses.
Almost like a kind of category.
A category, exactly, or a table, something significant.
Antiques they might have.
Antiques, somebody's old hobby, knitting. It could be old bath bombs or something that haven't been opened. Whatever's in your house, old skates, whatever it is, electronics.
That's
it's
funny
crazy.
you say that. I remember seeing something on social media. You constantly see stuff. And this guy was on there saying, yeah, you don't have any money? I bet you have $5,000 in your house right now. Go around your house and you could have $5,000 of something where they could sell stuff.
It's hard to sell something for that value,
for sure.
Whether it's Facebook Marketplace or something like that. That's why I like the max sold auction, because you may not walk out with $1 million. You might, but you might not. Mm-hmm. But someone is coming and giving you money for something that you don't have to pay for junk removal or to move.
That's
and
true.
It's a fast turnaround.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have to feel guilty that you're actually throwing it in the dumpster or throwing it away.
Landfill,
Besides it having value, someone may have gifted it to a family member, and you think, at least it's going somewhere else to be loved,
right?
Even if I can't hold on to it anymore, rather than throwing it away.
It's so true, because people want to know where it's going. They're not happy just putting it in a box.
Appreciate it.
Exactly, and someone does. Mm-hmm. And so whether someone buys it on max sold and they're going to resell it and spend the time, or they're going to use it, or I just had an auction that we just finished up this week, and the client had so many hockey sticks, and who bought it was a hockey coach for kids. And so it's so nice to know where it's going and people are using it.
Waste not, want not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about the aging demographic? Has that really changed things for you?
Yeah, well, yes, because a lot of my clients are our age, right? And so they have aging parents, and longtime clients, been in the business for 24 years. And so they always call me, let's say, a crisis, okay? Like all of a sudden their parents have to go to an elderly care facility. So we need to downsize the house immediately. They need the money to sell the house to pay for the care. And so we have to clear out everything. And the family's overwhelmed. So by bringing in an organizer to set up everything, the movers, get rid of the stuff, settle their parents in, it's a big part of my business now, helping people who are downsizing.
And you'll take care of all aspects of that.
Right. All the headaches.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
I have a great team. Yes.
How many people do you have with you now?
Well, on an ongoing, we have five organizers, and then we're affiliated with junk removal. We do max sold, and then we have movers as well.
Is max sold, because I'm not really familiar with max sold. Is that your business?
No.
Okay.
I'm one of their people who sell. So they have realtors. You can do it on your own.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you set up the whole online auction. You take
Exactly.
photographs of things. You put in the description, the price point.
Yes.
And you take care of all that,
Yeah.
which I think would be so overwhelming to someone trying to do this.
Right.
It's like, I don't even know where to start. Even putting it on Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah. To me, Facebook Marketplace, because I've done it all with my clients, it's so time consuming, and they say they're coming and then they're not coming.
Yes.
And you know that table was, you bought it, it's new and it was $300 and they offer you $50 and then they don't show up. It's just a really big headache. So that's why I like, this is guaranteed.
So what would you say in your 24 years,
Yes.
what was the most difficult job you had?
You know, like I swear, like I only remember last week, you know, they're all difficult. They all have their challenges.
Right.
It's really something, but I mean, it is rewarding. There's challenges. It's not the physical stuff. It's the emotional issues. That is the challenge.
Because someone's getting divorced or widowed, or I'm sure there's other situations, and like they call you in a crisis.
It really, you know, I've had people who have addiction problems.
Some people are hoarders, but maybe that's not just because they're disorganized and they like to hoard things.
Oh, it's not.
There's another issue.
Right. There's another level of a psychological issue that, you know, makes people paralyzed, that they can't deal with their stuff.
Yes.
And I was just talking about, I had a client who had an addiction, and she's, you know, was clean now, and, you know, and her place doesn't reflect how she's feeling inside, but it's too overwhelming. That's not her lifestyle anymore.
Yeah.
So we went in there, and I mean, we felt so great to get it up to the level where she is right now. It's just situation, you know, sometimes very hard situations, you know, people life, right. There's been a death in the family, a death of a child, a separation, a divorce, financial constraints, you know, whatever the issue is. Yeah.
You can make, you can see the start to the finish. It's such a great job.
Yeah. Thank you. Because it is. We really, it's not about, like I said, it's not about having fancy boxes and
color-coded closets.
It's about keeping it organized in a way that you can just live harmoniously with, you know, I'm really selling, you know, a cup of tea and find your underwear. Let's keep it simple.
Well, I remember too, because you were very good and resourceful about using what I had in the home.
Yeah.
Whether it was boxes that I had that might work so I could store something. I don't know. I can't remember because it was a while ago. But
that's exactly what we do. Yeah. Shop at home first. You already have a bin with things you don't wear anymore, or things you don't use, or now there's garbage in that bin, or so we just reuse what you have first before we invest on more things.
Right, which is great for the end user, because sometimes they're in a very difficult financial situation. So, you know, they're investing in you to help them, but they need to be as efficient as possible.
Definitely.
So you mentioned hoarders, so I'm sure that you have had those experiences.
Yes. Yeah.
And they must be very intense.
They are. Yeah. But usually, if it's a hoarding situation, if they're asking for help, then, you know, they've dealt with the psychological issue and it's just the physical stuff. Right. So we're able to deal with it. I don't want to go in there and pull teeth, right? So if unless they have a situation where the landlord is going to kick them out and they have to have me in. They don't want me in, they're not ready. And it's a very challenging situation. So
I think it might be pulling teeth with Michael. Michael might not be ready.
I think he's probably much better now. Yeah. But when we did ask Brenda before, he was not ready.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. A way out is to have like an outside storage facility. And even though you don't want to commit to that every month, to that payment, it's like, how about we just put the stuff you don't use right now and label it in a box and put it there. So just your bedroom doesn't have the excess stuff, or wherever the area is, you can just see clear of the clutter. And so it's not about getting rid of it. So it's kind of like a solution.
Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So
if they're not ready to give anything up, you can.
Right. It's out of the house. It's in the basement.
Yeah.
And just especially if it's affecting another person, like if it's a shared bedroom or it's a living room or an office that's shared, all the excess stuff could go. Yeah. But not be thrown out because they're not ready to deal with it. And then when everything's organized, somehow it's like going into a store for them and they're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, I don't need that. Yeah. But they have to let us in.
With a death, I could think of when you've been gifted things, and it could be china, it could be figurines, it could be things that meant a lot to your parent, and now you have it and you don't want to throw it away.
Right.
But it's not something that can sit around in the home.
Right. So it's that attachment, right? That
yes,
like,
emotional
let's say,
attachment.
Right. So
it's very psychological. a lot of what you do,
Yes,
I think.
it is.
When you attack it initially, it's like you're dealing with that part and trying to make sure, as you said, that they're ready for you, because if they're not, I mean.
Yeah, it would be a very difficult day. We've had a lot of them.
Because sometimes I'm sure someone's hiring you for someone who isn't ready, right? It's not always the end user, the person that needs you, that's doing the hiring.
Right.
I would imagine.
Yeah, it happens to be that way sometimes.
Yeah.
And I try to have a meeting with that person to make them feel comfortable and to let them know what we're going to do. So like we were just talking about, someone who may not want to get their stuff removed, thinks that we're going to throw out their stuff, or they have seen too many TV shows about that. So just not the pressure, we give them a way out, like an opportunity to put the stuff away so that they can keep their space. They can move if they have to, whatever the challenges are.
That might be with a widow. I could see how they're dealing with the loss, but they have to downsize or they have to sell the home.
Right.
They have to move into a different place, but they're still trying to deal with the loss of their spouse.
Yes.
And they don't necessarily, they can't throw away the clothes. They can't throw away their items.
They're not ready.
They're not ready.
Yeah.
And you said that about some of the stuff you have from your mom.
I do.
You have so much china and things, and you're thinking, what do I do with that?
Yeah, she was a collector. She went to the antique shows and she collected things. And, sometimes it would be she collected them so she could sell them. She would write in little books how much they're worth. So I mean, it was something for her. But am I giving it value by having it in a box in the garage?
Right. And to know that this is why like a max sold an auction might be good, is that people are going to come far and wide to buy those dishes. They were looking for that piece, like your mother.
Yeah.
They were hunters looking for it.
Some little china head or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You have a few of those.
A shoe, yeah.
The porcelain shoe.
Yes.
Yeah. We've sold many collections of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to check that out. That what is it? Max
Sold auctioneers.
Sold.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that?
I think so. I think I've seen it. I haven't actually gone on to look at it, but.
So is your home totally organized? Is that how we always wonder?
Yeah. I am not like anal like that at all. I do not have a lot of excess clutter. Everything I have, I use. I entertain a lot of my house, so it's not tidy all the time, but I have a home and a place for things. It's harmonious. It's not perfection. Far
home
from
and
it.
A place for everything. That is so important.
Yes.
Don't put it down, put it away, my mom used to say.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Yep.
So I know we had asked you before you came on, if you could share with all of our mini hoarders, people who are watching, what would be a top 10 tips from you about how they can get themselves organized?
Okay. Well, I'm going to give you some. I have some notes here. So my first is always to start with a plan. So, and by starting with a plan, that means starting perhaps maybe with one room. Know where you're starting. Have your garbage bags or a box ready for the excess things. Okay. The second is to declutter first. So pull out the things we no longer need or use, or things that don't belong in that room. Okay. So if it's a kitchen, and all of a sudden you look in your kitchen and you're like, I don't know why I have knitting needles in here. They were just shoved in. So you just pull those out, and just decluttering is amazing. And then sort by category, whatever you have left. And by sorting by category, it will help you to wean down even more things as you go through. And use little boxes, if you have shoe boxes or anything, just to help you categorize those things.
So what would be an example of sorting by category? So I'm clear.
Okay, so let's use a washroom. So we have our face moisturizers, we have shampoos, we have toothbrush, we have tooth care. Anything you have in your washroom, different categories for nails and things like that. Makeup, okay?
Gotcha.
And helps you wean out even further. And I guess the other thing is to use the 1-year rule. Once you're at that place where you've sorted, you're planning, and you're like, you know what, I really haven't used this in a long time. The only caveat for that is if your place is so disorganized and all of a sudden you didn't know that you had that black t-shirt and you're like, I haven't used it in a year, but if I was organized, I could. Right. That's the only thing. Okay. But if it's something that's been in your face for a year and you haven't used it, time to put it aside. or out of your space. And then as you're decluttering, it's the next point I would say is to designate an area that you're keeping. And so I call it garbage management. So that once you've pulled out everything, we've got to put it to the front door. If it's your donation and your garbage, keep it out of the area that you're working so you see your progress right away. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be critical.
Yeah.
Because you feel good once all of a sudden you start seeing things go down. It's like, this is nice. I like this.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess label everything. And you don't need the fancy labeler. You know, I am with a tape around my wrist, always masking tape and a Sharpie, and I just label with that. I mean, if you want to have the time and you want to label nicely with the professional labelers, you can. But even to label your garbage, because if you're sorting with black bags, label it, donation, shredding, whatever.
Like clear bags. So
exactly. Yes. If you have clear bags, yes. Label crazy. And then to create like a first night essential box. This is if you're moving. So
right. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that could be if you're moving. So for pack your sheets, just like you're going on a trip. Your underwear, your socks, anything that you need that the movers are going to move everything else, and you're not going to know where it's going to go. You know that box is labeled. This is for me. This is
just have. Toilet paper, paper towel,
your
just kitchen spray, whatever those simple things.
Right. It's your medication.
The carry-on for your house.
That's exactly. Yes. Yeah. And the other thing is, you never know what can happen in a house, and especially with your moving, is to digitalize, and we all do that, or we should do that, like your passport, anything, insurance, anything that you have to have access to, or you can't find because things are in disarray, have it on your phone digitally. It's just a game changer. Yeah, I've seen big problems with that. Of course, hire help if you need. Like if you're overwhelmed, hire help. It doesn't have to be me. Call an organizer, a friend who doesn't judge, someone, to help you get to the next stage.
I need another friend.
Yeah.
I'm calling Brenda.
Anytime. And give yourself grace. Be kind to yourself at the end. It's a hard process. It really is. And that's what I would end with.
And by the way, if anybody wants a copy of Brenda's top 10 organizing tips, we're going to have a link in the description below. And you can just go online and we'll send them to you.
Well, congratulations on 24 years, Brenda.
Thank you.
That's a long time to have a business. Like even when we started Real, it was 18 years ago. Yeah. And that feels like forever.
I know.
So 24 years.
2,000 clients. Like really, I've seen it all. I've been
we're thinking about how many it would be. Yeah. So it is in the thousands.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's good to keep track of that too. Well, thanks for sharing your experiences and some advice. And it might help us all to be a little more organized.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and drop a comment below. Let us know if you have any other topics you'd like us to cover on Real Talk. Your feedback helps keep us real.
Real life, real stories, real talk. Until next time, be real. Cheers, Brenda. Thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
Thank you.